Well, a business deal, money for money, I guess, in terms of what happened with Clarkson and Columbus.
Well, the money lined up, which was a big part of it. From Columbus's standpoint, they were looking to get a player in for that money. We get a player back that if he could ever come back as an elite player, in the event he can't, and we've created some cap space.
What do you think it didn't work out for David here? Obviously, that was a big contract you gave him with big expectations.
You know what? He didn't have the year last year that we had hoped. I thought this year he was better. Sometimes players, for whatever reason, don't fit in a certain city or a certain organization. I believe in David. I think he's going to go there and play well. I think he's going to go fit in with that group and have the impact there that we had hoped he would have here. But we were in a situation where it wasn't working out as well as we had hoped or that he had hoped, and he recognized that. He had to waive his no move to go there, and I think he felt that it was a good move for him to do that as well. So again, I think he showed flashes. There were moments where we had the David that we hoped to have, but overall I think it was probably disappointing for both sides, and I do believe he's going to go there and play well.
I think some people looked at that contract as immovable just because of the season he had and the amount of money he was making. Does that maybe suggest that there's some other contracts, some other big contracts that we could see moving in the next few days?
If there's a deal there that makes sense for any of our players, whether it's any of the UFAs that are left or whether it's a player that has term left, then we would look to do it. Right now, I'd tell you that I'm not close on anything else, but Monday's still a little ways away. So we'll see if we can add a few more impromptu press conferences for you guys between now and then. But I wouldn't bank on it. This just fell together, and it worked for both sides. And once we started getting closer, it picked up speed today, and those don't happen very often.
Dave, can you describe your philosophy on this tear down and then rebuild? Do you have a specific philosophy on what you're doing?
We're approaching the rest of this year and into next year the same way, and I'm not going to use any terms for it, but we need to make some changes, and that's apparent. We have some good players that maybe haven't played up to their capabilities this season, and haven't had the years that we need them to have, but they're good players, and it doesn't mean that we're going to fire sale people out. We're not going to make moves just to clean the roster out. We need to get value, and I know from talking to other teams that they covet some of the players that we have. So if there are trades that make sense for us, we're going to do it. If not, then there are players here that will come back, and that we will expect them to be part of the solution.
Dave, given both teams are not playoff teams right now, this doesn't look like a trade that had to happen before the trade deadline. Why now, and why were you guys even talking to each other? Kind of thing?
You know what? It didn't have to happen, but I think that once we started discussing it and found that it made sense, what was the reason to wait? And the other part, to be fair to David, when I did talk to Pat Morris, we discussed for him to get to his new team and start playing there and getting some games under his belt, as opposed to going there in the summer and starting anew in training camp. It was beneficial to him to do that as well. So that was another big part of it.
Have you spoken to Nathan?
Not yet.
Do you have any sense of where he's at physically? Any chance he plays again?
No, we'll be doing that over the next week or 10 days. I think there's probably a lot of work there to do, but at this point I don't have any information for you.
Did they approach you, or did you approach them?
We've been talking off and on for a little while here, so it was once we started discussing it, it just picked up some steam.
The direction you guys are going, how important is that available cap space going to be going forward?
Well, it doesn't mean, again, that one thing I know that, yes, we've been a cap team. Cap space is available to us. It doesn't mean that you have to use it, and that's the one thing I think that's important for us to look at as well. That it's available space as we move forward, and it allows us to possibly take advantage of opportunities as the summer progresses, or even the next year in the event that Nathan can't play.
Did you have any final words for David?
I spoke to David. Yeah, he was very good. I mean, he was disappointed that it didn't work out. I know how happy he was to be a Leaf. It was a big deal to him to come here. He turned down more money and different teams to play in his hometown. So I think that was a disappointing part for him. But I think he's got a pretty fresh, good outlook going forward, and I wish him all the best. I know he did whatever he could to be a successful Maple Leaf, and I don't blame him for anything that happened here.
Do you look at Horton as maybe a long shot, Dave, that a couple years down the road he could come back to what he once was?
Well, you never know. I mean, you don't know how it's going to turn out for us. Again, it was, if he does turn out to play, then Nathan is he's a world-class player. He's been an elite player. He's won a cup. He's done a lot of good things. So if that ever happened, then that would be great. And if it doesn't happen, then we're not in any worse situation financially. Plus, we have the cap space available to use going forward.
One last question, guys. Where is he? Is he in Toronto? Is he in Florida? Is he in Columbus?
No, I think he's in his off-season home, so he's not in Toronto. But we'll be spending some time trying to talk to him and move forward over the next 7 days.
Your comment on TJ Brennan, possibly he may get a chance to come up and play for the Maple Leafs and get a crack at an NHL job.
He might. Right now we'll get him back with the Marlies, where he had so much success last year. Again, whatever happens over the next little while, I don't know how our team is going to necessarily shape up, but I wouldn't have any reservations pulling him up to play here. He's capable of playing in this league.